I think there's a real longing for those ancient practices that we're not even aware of. We have a longing, and then when we find ourselves doing it, it's like, oh yes, this is it. This is what we're meant to be doing. As soon as people put their feet on the land and start connecting with it, either through walking or swimming in the sea, it grounds them, and it's like, okay, this is it. This is where this is important, and this will bring us back to where we're meant to be, how we're meant to be, what our ancestors have been doing for millennia, who we are as humans.
My initial reaction, or my initial thoughts, is someone who walks, someone who is taking on a journey and maybe has an intention set for that journey and just enjoys the journey. Yeah, I'm totally going into this pilgrimage, this experience, with just an open mind and flexibility, and totally just open to what will be, especially because we're going to be, collaborating with other artists and from different art forms, and I'm just happy and looking forward to going into this totally blank canvas. Let's just see what happens.
Pilgrimage is very appealing. It's a group of people, it's moving through the landscape, but also the spiritual aspect of it as well. I think that the creating in landscape, something about that opening up to a place, to me is always connected to something that could be called spiritual experience, which I think is why this project's also, starting from a very fascinating premise, really, of it being artists that are doing the pilgrimage, who aren't necessarily doing it for religious reasons.
Walking is really important. It's changing a sense of time, and what we tend to see is that people see time as like the enemy in life. By engaging with these sorts of Celtic landscapes, it's seeing those rhythms, like the rhythms of tides and waves, the rhythms of the seasons, and it just engages you in a different aspect of seeing how time works. And that's when you start to experience a bit of an inner journey. A lot of people feel they experience a sort of love, and that's really the starting point. It's when you start that journey from the head, which is so busy with all the stuff to do, and you start that journey to the heart, and that's when you can experience love that is brought on by all these amazing surroundings. And that's when you can go on that inner journey and start to sort of see things in a slightly different way.
Pilgrims have traditionally travelled on foot, and I think that there's something profound about that. The Bible talks about us being made to live in God with heart and mind and soul and strength, that we are embodied creatures, and that when we go walking, when we are physically well, when we inhabit our bodies, it helps our mental, our intellectual, our emotional, our spiritual health as well.
I think you all kind of have this idea before of like, I'm going to kind of conquer this big journey, especially with the Camino de Santiago. With those first 3 days, it's like, nah, you're going to be floored by day 3 because you just gone up these mountains. And then this idea of sort of, striding out, it softens, because I don't know, I kind of imagine it as like you're a stone in a river, and the more that you flow with it, it shapes you. And I remember that reminds me of a conversation I had with one of the padres, one of the priests, and he said that the pilgrim arrives on the Camino like a block of material, and the Camino de Santiago, the way itself, chips away at you and shapes you. And there was all sorts of these little metaphors and meanings and stories that kind of like come in along the route that do give you a shape, and you do kind of end up at the end of it. I know I did, and other people that I met, you end up after this journey kind of like holding yourself differently.
Everyone's a pilgrim, aren't they? I mean, in the same way that everyone's creative. You know, we're all the same, really. You know, everyone has a need to explore who they are, and everyone has a need to express themselves.